Live on YouTube. And we're off.
All right, so how do I sound now?
Sound good. I'm gonna pull up YouTube right now, actually.
Oh,
Inside the GEFA.
I didn't put it on Inside the GFA. I just have it on Facebook or YouTube.
Oh, okay. On our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Let me go there. Yeah, you sound clear as day. Clear as day. You, your channel. Let me see how it sounds on here. Should I say something, James?
Can you hear me? Obviously, with they live on YouTube, it's going to be a couple second delay.
Mm-hmm. Should I say something, James?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
Obviously, with they live on YouTube, it's going to be a couple second delay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a plus. This is probably the best my internet's been in a while.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what's your take on everything with the classic?
Uh,
Actually, instead of killing the classic thing all over again, what's your take on this season?
um, uh, I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say that this is a down year for the GFA. Um, Regardless of how you feel about it, you can't help but get excited. I don't know if it's because kickoff's like 10 days away or what, but I'm I'm personally optimistic about the season. I feel like to an extent, a lot of the owners have given a little bit more effort. We're not there yet. I don't know when that'll ever happen, but we're not there yet. Um, you know, you're actually hearing talks and rumblings of players and coaches and owners going during a bye week to catch another game. I don't know if I've ever remembered hearing that or seeing that in the GFA. I mean, our game's gone better. Our talent has very much improved, especially over the time that I'm here. I've seen the difference in 5 years, so I could just imagine for the more veteran people. Um, I love the fact that we get to play everybody once. That to me is an advantage of having fewer teams. Um, but I don't expect to keep that. I think we're going to bounce back and have such a solid year that people are going to flock to the GFA and they're going to, at the very least, inquire about joining. You know what I'm saying? So that's optimism, man. That's can't say nothing else about it. What are your takes?
I think a big thing right now is, like I've said since the beginning of this off season, was concentrating on us. If need be, getting rid of the bad apples and making
Yeah.
sure it's more family friendly and being able to bring the families to games. A lot of people don't bring their families to games because they think something's going to pop off. Like it's
So that's another thing. And it's funny you mentioned that because I've talked to a lot of players, not just on my team, but throughout the league. And you're hearing more talks about that too. People are talking about bringing their family and loved ones out to a game. Um, Years past, maybe I missed it, and I'm being totally honest here. Maybe I missed it. Um, so I'm excited about it. I mean, me personally, I've never had a problem taking my family or loved ones to a game, but you know, if a player only has a year or two left and they're gonna walk away from the game that they've played for years and go enjoy being a dad and being a father figure or whatever it may be, but they're gonna walk away from one passion into another. They want their loved ones to see them play the game that they've been playing for years. And it might be the last time for a lot of people. I mean, I can never speak on people's behalf, but I look at the people that I know have stated this is their last go around.
but here's the thing with that though. Everybody says this is their last go around, and then they do like at the end of the season, they'll give like this huge like win one for the Gipper, like Lou Gehrig, I'm the luckiest man on the planet speech. And then by February or March, they're signing with a new team.
Yes, and I know that that's a pet peeve of yours. I trust me, I know.
Like,
But there,
but the thing is though, like it's the GFA.
right.
It's like, and we're doing these long speeches, like for what? In 5 years, no one's gonna remember who you are. 5 years after I retire, nobody's gonna remember who I am. Like
So, but you also got to
you're making a
understand.
speech for people that don't care.
Well, you know, you also got to keep in mind though too that you're going to have a point in time where, as far as I know, you know, my time in this league, they're greats for this league, and there's going to be a time that they can't put the jersey on anymore, and they can't do what they once did, and it is their final hoorah, planned or not planned. You know, but I look at you know, people that I've respected around the league. You hear a lot of it, not a lot, but you hear a few of the Comanche talk about it. I'd love to be there and witness Country's last game. Country in the Hazleton area, they go hand in hand, right? So, um, Kenny Reed, he's one of my favorite players in this league. Um, you know, Tyler, like you go on and you build those bonds, and that's what's nice about this league, right? You build those bonds and friendships with people, and it's like, damn, you got to take a step back and realize like greatness when it's around you. You know what I'm saying? And we don't we I'll be honest with you, my opinion, and this goes for everybody involved with what is the GFA. We do a bad job of not taking a step back and realizing like, God damn, like I understand what you're saying about 5 years from now, people aren't going to know who you are. But if I'm around and I get to see Kasim's last game, that's that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna relay how he's one of the hardest runners I've ever seen. Right? So it's like, I don't know. It just to me, I don't think there's enough recognition um for the talent and the people. We talk about how good these athletes are. Man, they're genuinely great fucking people too. You know what I mean? And maybe that has a lot to do with it. Maybe that's one of the reasons that, you know, every time I see Kenny, I sit there and chat it up with him. He's he's a real good football player. Better person, better father. Like good for him, you know, and I think we'd be a lot better off as a league if we did more of that. And I know you've been trying, James. We've had these conversations. Hence the reason, you know, it's all gas forward for the kickoff classic, and I'm excited about it. So just the beginning to what I expect to be a great season.
Yeah, like I said, that stuff just bothers me because it's like you put in all that effort to do this amazing speech about your retirement, your memories, all that stuff. And then a couple months later, it's like, oh, this person just signed with this team, and it's like, like, why go through that all that stuff? Like, it's just a thirst post. Like that's all it is. It's
Well, so I guess my question to you is, do you think they went back and deleted their previous post?
I doubt it. It's like
Oh, shit.
it's just always like a thirst post to me. Like when I retired from coaching, the team they played week one is when they found out that I wasn't coaching anymore. Like it's
Nice, nice.
I didn't even tell the owners I retired from coaching. Like it's
Yeah.
but it's just like I don't know. It's like a lot of these players in this league, they feel entitled and they just have to like get their name out there because they don't think their name's getting out there enough. And it gets to the point now where like I think it's like we have so much talent in this league. Players and it's they feel entitled. A lot of the talent in this league is overshadowed by the way they act. And it's like some of these players, they were like
What up, Justin?
the biggest threats in the world in this league, and now they're like an afterthought because it's like, oh, what are they going to do this week? What are they going to talk about this week? Like it's more of what they talk about rather than what they do on the field. It's
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually it's funny because I just talked to a couple of my guys about this. You know, you get to a point where you want this to be like the players NFL, right? You want to go above and beyond for these guys. We got to start at okay, so we have the semi-pro title behind us, but now is the time that we need to start utilizing the professional term and act as such, right? So again, that's one of them things only time will tell, but you got to believe that we're headed in the right direction. You know what I mean? Depending on who you talk to, it's semi-pro, it's backyard football, it's amateur football, it's arena
I mean,
outside.
it's just like it's just like that sense of it.
Oh, yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, it's we're technically we're amateur. We don't have the whole semi-pro thing. We try to consist on being labeled as amateur so we can keep that nonprofit status.
Right.
Anytime you link semi-pro to something, it's the unspoken implication that there may be pay involved. And we don't. And when it came to semi-pro, I always said I wanted to give the players that pro experience without the pay.
Yeah.
But it got to the point. Sometimes it gets to the point where like the more you try to give players, coaches, owners, and all that stuff, the more they try to take. And when you don't give them what they want, it's just all of a sudden this league sucks, this, that, and everything else. And it's
Yeah.
like, and that's how you get a black eye in this league because it's like you always get those players that say, we pay to play. You do not pay to play in the GFA. The teams that you play for pay to be in the GFA. Whatever teams do as a player fee or whatever, that's what you're paying for. The opportunity to be able to say, I'm a Hazelton Mustang or whatever. It's
Right.
I don't know what your player fee or whatever, if you even have one. But I'm just using you guys as an example.
No, I get it.
Like that's what these players it's
Yeah, and it's my job as owner, and you walk that fine line, right? Like we're here, we're playing football, you're here to win, this, that, and everything else. I tell my guys, my coaching staff all the time, I'm the owner of the Hazleton Mustangs. Um, but this is my platform. This is my platform to give back to the community, give back to players. Players are dedicating their Saturdays 3-4 hours, if not more, for 9 months just to be prepared, to take the field in 17 days. Right. So, if I have an opportunity, to give back, I just reach out to somebody who's not even on my team, owns his own business, general contractor. I just referred his name tonight. I know him through this league. If it helps the guy out, it works out, it works out. If not, at least I tried. Right. So, um, I've given people, um, I've put concerts on for people in the past, DJ events. Um,
hold on. By you put on concerts, you didn't sing, did you? Yeah, all right.
no.
I thought maybe I was gonna have my God Bless America singer at the classic.
Oh no. Nope. Um,
You'll
you
be up there
know,
with Sheldon Jones.
yeah, we could both cry about our 49ers together. But yeah, I literally, another thing I did today was talk to one of my former players tonight who owns his own record label, um, about having one of my current players get with him and start making something happen. I'd love to see that for both of them.
Yeah.
If it works out, great. If it doesn't, it was worth the effort. You know what I'm saying? So, um, that's how I view this thing. I know other people are more concerned with winning football games, and not that I'm not. I don't want people to sit there and blow up in the comments and be like, "Oh, well, that's why the Mustangs are where they're at. Their owner's not worried about winning." No,
I
that's not the
guarantee you,
case.
no comments are going to blow up on this. We got two people, and one of them Justin McNulty, so it's
Well,
comments are blowing
yeah, but
up.
people go back and watch it and whatever it may be. You know, I would love to know. It's funny you mention Justin. Look at everything that him and Brandon have done in their community,
Yeah.
right? That's Justin and Brandon using their platform as a semi-pro team, amateur team that, you know, regardless of circumstances, the community is grateful for everything that they do. That's them using their platform. Good for them. You know what I'm saying? And I think once we take that approach across the board, yes, we ultimately we want to win games, compete for championships, win championships, everything like that. But that literally cannot be the sole reason that we're here doing this, or it's never going to succeed. Prove to me otherwise, and I'll listen. But until it's somebody makes a valid point in the opposite direction, that's what I'm sticking with. You know?
I mean, here's a lot of the things, especially like I've noticed over the years with this league. You get some of those players that tag along in groups of like 12, and they just go from like team to team, and then and in all reality, these teams are only taking in these 12 players because they only want one player. And so they sell their soul, bring in these 12 players, bring in another 12 players from another group, and then they start alienate their core, thinking that they're going to win a championship because they made room for all these players. And then the next year, after they don't win the championship, those packs, they start going to other teams, and now I get that call. Hey, just so you know, we're on. Uh, I'll let you know by this weekend if we're gonna fold or not. And like that's why we have no stability in this league with teams, because teams are more worried about winning than building a culture and building for the future.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I hear where you're coming from. I will say some of the moves that people may not be aware of yet. Um, we probably put a kibosh to that without even making that our main focus point by adjusting the roster size next season, right? So you're not going to have packs of 12. I mean, I returned, I don't even know, 24 players, something like that. Um, I don't even know the exact number off the top of my head, but I wouldn't have room to add a wolf pack of 12, 10,
Yeah.
12 guys, you know. Um, yeah.
I just want to get it back to like that Friday night feel and just have people have fun and play football. That is my biggest goal this year. Is I'm tired of all the arguing. I'm tired of the all the chirping, all the fighting, everything that makes us look bad. Because that's how we get the term prison ball. That's how we're nothing but backyard.
Yeah.
Because it's we don't act that professional part of semi-pro. Like it's every time you try to do something, you get people that come along and then it just gets ruined because
Yeah.
we're more worried about winning a GEFA championship rather than building a culture and building a dynasty.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Cyclones, and trust me, I've heard this story 1,000 times hanging out with Melhorn. Cyclones started off 3 years in a row, 1-9, and then they built up. They only got a couple pieces here. They didn't get everybody from free agency and try doing it that way.
Yeah.
Hell, Tavares found Contento, I think, at a gym while he was working out. Like
Yeah.
as much as we said are, we could say we're sick of the Cyclones and all that other stuff. At the end of the day, they did it the right way. They built a team for the long haul. And
Well, it's the day and age that we live in, though. It's You have people stepping up and taking ownership for all the wrong reasons. You have people who get that position, have that authority. It doesn't work, and they're like, you know what? Screw this. I'm out. I'm not doing it. Right? And it's very easy for them to walk away. Well, listen, if I'm not mistaken, Melhorn was a quarterback for their 1-9 seasons,
yeah,
right?
he took his beatings.
Right. Well, if Brent had that same mentality of fuck this, 1-9, taking a beating, not worth it. See ya. Is the Cyclones a dynasty? No, but he had the thick skin, stuck it out, kept moving forward, built into the greatest dynasty this league's ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So I think, unfortunately, a lot of people take the easy way out. I've seen it in my short time here. People are like, yeah, see ya. I'm not doing it.
I mean, even when I coached with the Shock, it was the same thing. Like we were rebuilding the team every single year to try to load up and beat the Cyclones, and we didn't have the chemistry the Cyclones had because they were all together since 2013, 2014. It's
Yeah.
and then like when you try to build it, you get other owners in that, hey, if you come over here, I'll get you this. I'll promise you this. And they make all these promises, and then the player goes over there and the owners don't deliver at all.
Yeah.
And then we got problems with that. Everybody's whining. This team doesn't do this. This doesn't team does that. I want out of my contract. They're blowing my phone up saying, how do I get out of my contract? Like it's just
Mhm.
that
Well,
was the
we
biggest
also we
mistake with the
also
Shock.
we also made adjustments towards that going
Yeah.
forward too. So
I mean, some of these adjustments we've made, we've should have done them years ago. I mean, Brian Rogers mentioned them. I can't even tell you how many years ago. I think back when he was president, he mentioned this stuff. And it kept getting shut down, shut down, shut down. But like everybody wanted to load up and beat the Cyclones. That's what like this league became was you weren't anything in this league unless you beat the Cyclones.
or
And
put up a fight against them. Yeah.
yeah, so we all sold our souls trying to build these powerhouse teams in that while the Cyclones stayed the same, had this all the chemistry in the world, and just beat us not by talent or anything, but because they knew each other's what they were pretty much thinking. I had a conference. It wasn't a conference championship game. It was a game at the Cyclones, I think 2019. And uh, Medina did an audible mid play with just a head movement to Tavares. And like a head bob and Tavares knew exactly where the hell Medina wanted him to go. Like that's what's going on with that stuff. That's why like teams like the Shock and that weren't beating the Cyclones.
Yeah.
there was way too much chemistry for the Cyclones. Yeah, they brought a piece in here, brought a piece in here, but it was never like they sold their souls to stay on top.
Right.
Even when
So
they lost to the Mountain Lions in 2015, what they do? They loaded up in 2016 to beat the 2015 Mountain Lions, and the Mountain Lions just weren't the same team.
yeah.
And then we all suffered because the Cyclones beat the brakes off us.
Do you think the direction that we're headed as a league, um, would you say that's a peak point for the league, or that's just the beginning, just starting to kind of scratch the surface with the potential? Well, you're talking about strictly potential now. Do you think we've peaked, or you think we're just beginning to tap into what could ultimately be something huge?
I can't say we peaked, only for the simple fact is we haven't done anything yet. All we've done is talked about it. We're not at the point yet where we've seen any kind of results. We haven't got into the season yet, so it's on paper, on in words, we're looking great. But until we see it, I can't say we peaked. And it's going to be a long haul to build on this. I mean, you were there when we were talking to the officials and that. I told them we're at the point where we can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing what we're doing, and I'm even trying to get marshals at the games so we could start getting all this stuff controlled. If a team
Yeah.
only has 37 players and 3 staff members, there should only be 40 people on that sideline. And how many games have you gone where there's, I mean, the Warriors game I ref last year against Williamsport, there was probably over 100 people on that sideline.
So I seen the film from that game. Um, you talk about that Friday night feel. I couldn't imagine what it was like there. That park, that field, absolutely packed, packed house. Um, I mean, whatever they're doing up there, good for them. Continue to do it. Um,
And the thing with like the Wildcats Warriors game last year, that was a great game.
mhm.
I think it came down to like the last 5 seconds of the game. Like that's the games you want to see. Those are the GFA games that I want to say, hey, look at this. This is what GFA's about. I don't feel like we have that because I don't feel like our competition is up there yet. Maybe we are this year. We have smaller number of teams in the league, and it's
Yeah,
every single game I want to feel like a championship game. Like I want every single game to matter. I've been saying it for years, ever since the COVID years where we only did conferences,
right,
schedules, and all that stuff. Like I want every game to matter. Like you shouldn't want to be playing in a game, especially in a crossover that didn't matter.
right.
So how can I tell somebody who got injured and out for the season, hey, thanks for everything you did, but that game didn't matter?
Yeah.
Like, how do you justify something like that? Like, it's
Yeah. Nah, I mean it's tough. So let me ask you, because you've coached, um, if you're a coach or an ownership group or whatever, part of the GFA, are you looking at the way our playoffs and everything are structured and saying, I only need to be better than X amount of teams? Is it I think the competitive side of you is going to sit there and say you want to win every game, which is cliche answer in my opinion.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, you only need to be 1-0.
Right?
Last game of the season, the Keystone Bowl, you win that, you're 1-0. Doesn't matter about the goal is never to go undefeated. If you go undefeated, great. That's a plus.
Right.
But you want to be 1-0 at the end of the season,
So,
hoisting up that Keystone Bowl trophy.
oh, absolutely. So, do you think right now coaches and owners are sitting there saying we need to beat these select teams, the top tier teams, or we just need to be better than these lower seeded teams? What do you think? What do you think's a mindset? And what would you prefer, or how would you look at it?
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm thinking, obviously, you want to be the number one seed,
Mm-hmm.
but I would think no worse than second seed. Only
Yeah.
because it's the easiest path to the Keystone Bowl. You get that first round bye, something we haven't done since 2013, 2012, maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, we've always, as long as I've been in the league, we've always been in the spot where we've had 8 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now we have 6 teams in the playoffs to get the first round bye. Like and that's why I said in the owners meeting when we were talking about that, we got to start getting to the point where we got to earn our playoffs.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to see a 4-6 team go against a 10-0 team and get blown out 82-0. Nobody wants to see that in the playoffs. It actually takes value out of our playoffs doing that. But if we have 9-1 versus 7-3, like now it's better because you always know that upset could happen.
Any
I mean,
given
look at
Sunday.
last year.
Yeah.
If anybody had the Wildcats making it to the Keystone Bowl,
Over the
I mean, the
Buffaloes and the
Buffaloes
Vikings.
and the Vikings were both 9-1
Yeah.
to get into the Keystone Bowl. You're full of shit. Not even the Wildcats believe that. But yet, that's why we play the game, and that's what happened. Like that was a Cinderella story for the Wildcats last year.
Yeah. I agree.
That's what we should be promoting when we talk about that league. That those moments, those teams that you don't think have a chance to make it, that pull together at the right time and make it to the Keystone Bowl. It's kind of like the Philadelphia Phillies. Towards the end of the season, they always heat up, and my Braves always tank. Braves could have the best record in baseball and then be out the first time the first round they play in.
Yep. Absolutely. What what are 2 or 3 things that you want to see from the players side of the league this season?
I mean,
Keep it football don't count.
I'd love that. But what I've always wanted to see, and I've said it for years now, I've always had a plan for the teams to get into high school fields, or at least fenced in fields, where if they needed to, they could charge at the gate. If we get to that point where teams could charge at the gate and that's a little bit stability. That could take off of, say, a player's fee or stuff for uniforms and that. That could only help your team's stability long term.
Yeah.
I want to see where to get fans into the stadiums to see the teams. I want the teams to get out into their community and have their community support them. A lot of these teams, like they do parades and all this stuff, and nobody knows who the hell GEFA is. So if they don't know who GEFA is, how are they going to know who you are? Like that is a problem there. Like we need to start reaching out more in our community and getting our team's name out, getting the league's name out, because it's only going to make things better. I always
Right.
said I want players in this league to be able to sign autographs for fans. I want people to think, hey, I want to go to the Hazleton Mustangs game because it's going to be a good time. They always put on a show. Let's bring the kids. Let's have a family day and go see some football.
Yeah.
I also want to get to the point where teams are having their own merchandise. Like you and I've had that conversation about 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
Why would a player want to leave if they have their own cheering section with their fans and they're all wearing, say, a Mensa shirt? Like, you think he's really going to want to go to somewhere else and start all over again when he has a whole cheering section for him and they're all wearing his stuff? Like, that's
Yeah.
why
You're
would
right.
you want? How could you leave that?
Yeah. Mm. And that's, man, I tell you what, if that's not a a bucket list item for an owner, I'd have no problem sitting there and saying you're not doing this for the right reasons.
I mean,
One thousand, one thousand
here's the
percent.
thing with it all. As much as we talk about semi-pro being the professional part of it, it can't just be the owners and the teams doing it. The players got to do their part as well and turn it to the point where refs aren't calling this prison ball. People are going to want to see you guys play if you act right, if you keep it football. If you do it that way, they're going to want to see football. Nobody is going to want to see people fighting, cursing at each other, taking a complete hissy fit, chasing refs off the field, grabbing a football, throwing it over a fence in the traffic. Like, nobody wants to see that. That is prison ball. Refs don't want to be there for that. Refs want that Friday night feel. They want to go in there, do their job, educate the players on the calls if need be, and then go.
Yeah.
That's what we're missing here because we're more worried about winning rather than building something. If you build something like that, you will be long-term successful and you will be stable. Because the more people that know about your team and want to be a part of it, the more fans are going to come in and the more money you're going to make.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the professional feel I want for this league. I want to get to the point where we could do interviews with players and we don't have to worry about the N word flying or it's some kind of cursing or something. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's times where people want to be on the podcast and I cringe
Mhm.
because I know they can't say anything without using the N word in that. Like, but
Oh,
then they'll be like, "Oh, this is the way." I get that, but in the same breath, you want to be like it's our NFL and all that stuff. If you watch the NFL Network, they're not saying that, and they're coming
right.
from the same areas.
Yeah,
I mean, you
absolutely.
got to have a point where there's self-discipline, and I don't feel like a lot of us know that because we've never been around that. I mean, I get it. I grew up in a trailer park. Like, I didn't have two pennies to rub together. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, the amount of times that I've corrected a player this offseason, and it got to a point where we could literally at ninja. So if you've seen little ninjas flying across the screen, it's because somebody used the N word. And it's funny because we've gone over it so much. Guys catch themselves slipping. They'll
Yeah.
get whatever they're trying to say, they'll say it, and then they'll be like, sorry, Billy, ninja, right? And or sorry for cursing or whatever it may be. Um, but the fact that they're catching themselves tells me that you're paying attention, right? You're literally working on it. So ask any coach if you're at least putting forth the effort, they'll take it. You know, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not going to fix 20 some years of somebody's upbringing or their culture and change it overnight. You know what I mean?
And it's gonna take time.
Yep.
Like we always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's gonna take time. But the thing is, though, our expectations, our discipline, and our standards are what's gonna keep us out of trouble. And if we're not following up on those standards and that, like getting into place, that's the easy part.
Right.
Maintaining it, that's the hard part. And
Yeah.
I think we all make that effort to get where we need to be, but we do a piss poor job in maintaining it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to, you know, to take it. You know, it's I like every everything that we've done from getting and this is one thing, and this is actually one of our conversations was, you know, instead of going right into the kickoff classic events for the podcast, I would have done my pilot episode, my first episode of the season would have been everything that you know we're trying to get accomplished between putting pressure on owners for stats in on time, quality film at the right angle, um, getting officials involved with our rule book, talking to them, having meetings with them, having numerous, you know, hey, this is your key. If this is your position, this is what you're looking for. Um, I said the rules, the Players Association. I haven't asked my players in a couple weeks going on. I don't know if that group is even active. I'd love to see that change. I'd love to see that changed, you know. But the events, I mean, the Mustangs first season, I wasn't the owner. I was the head coach. We were to kick off against in the classic against the Warriors. We were the first game. The Nightmare and Savages were the second. Supposed to be Diamondbacks and Cyclones for the third. But there was very little, and at that point in time, I was so new that I don't even know when the podcast started or anything like that. But I do know that we didn't get the publicity. We didn't get the full effect. We tried having 3 games. It didn't work out. Um, but we didn't have face painting there. We had Denise over on the flat top making hamburgers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well,
Like,
the original plan for that day was to go back to Selinsgrove and have the 3 games there on the turf. But then Selinsgrove backed out because of the potential of looming COVID.
Mm.
I mean that whole classic that year, I think it was 2020. That was pulled together by the grace of God. That classic was probably one of my favorite ones, and it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And then, we deal with COVID and conference only, and we change the markings on the sideline for where a player can go for COVID. And we run 2 seasons like that. And then we come back to a 10-game season with crossovers, and there's adjustment periods to everything you're gonna do. There's adjustment periods, right? So, you know, now I feel like we put the time into it. We're gonna blow out any idea that we thought we could do, right? We're just gonna blow it out of proportion with the kickoff classic. How do you, okay, James, let me ask you this. How do you explain the kickoff classic in a nutshell? You have 2 minutes to explain what the kickoff classic is to those people who don't know what the GEFA is. How are you explaining it? It's going to be hard to do because, I mean, you can go on for days about it. But how would you personally, president of the league, how would you explain what the kickoff classic is?
The coming together of the league event. This is going to be our showcase for the start of the season, and we're starting off with a bang. I mean, we have never done, as far as I've been with the league, we have never done anything like this for the kickoff classic, to at least this magnitude.
Yeah.
We've our DJ, the only time we've ever used somewhat of a DJ was freaking Travis Groves with that stupid karaoke thing and him just doing the boom every 5 seconds because he had like 20 Coronas.
Mm, yeah.
Like that's as close as we had to a DJ at a classic. We've had a DJ before at the Keystone Bowl in 2019
Yeah.
with DJ Guardian, but we've never done anything after that. And the guy that was with Monopoly last year, in between him playing Taylor Swift through the whole thing, um,
Yeah.
we haven't done anything like that. I want to bring it back to the way we had our Keystone Bowl in 2019 when we had the Selinsgrove's marching band perform at halftime. Like that was a big field game there. And it's
So take the side stuff out of it, the marching band in the past, and everything, the conversations that you've had and everything like that. What about the competition? The teams playing each other. I mean, the only classic I remember was the one where we lost to the Warriors 53-0, right? And it was followed up by the Nightmare and Savages. And then the Diamondbacks and Cyclones never happened. But before that, when you were in Selinsgrove, what were the games like? Did you have the matchups that you're expected to have this year?
I think 2019 was the first time we even had the classic. I know the classic with the 1 year was considered week 0, and it was just all the mountain games. I think it was 2022, I think. I think it was a year after. But before Selinsgrove in 2019, We didn't have neutral field games. 2018, we had our Keystone Bowl at the Vikings field between the Vikings and the Cyclones. Like all the owners took turns presenting the host the All-Star game and the Keystone Bowl. That's how we did things. And it took years of Brent whining and bitching to get a neutral field championship.
Yeah.
And I remember first going to Sealands Grove with Travis Grobe, and we walked around the field and all that stuff. And I'm like, we're going to make this year different. It was my first year as president. Of course, I wanted to make an impact with it. I wanted to be able to show what the GEFA was about. Trying to think what the teams in the Classic. Oh, the Kings and the Vikings. That was the big one that year. And the referees went to Shippensburg instead of Sealands Grove because they saw the S on the field and they thought it was Shippensburg. So we had to delay the Classic for like 45 minutes to an hour. And like we went all out for that. It was something different. And we had a food truck there for it. So it was like the precursor for what we're doing now was in place back in 2019. We just magnified it this year. Now we got 3 food trucks. We got the inflatable screen out in the parking lot where the food trucks are so nobody misses any of the action of the game. We got the DJ, we got the face painting, we got the chili from the Special Olympics, their polar bear for the polar bear plunge, helping out with the Easter egg hunt. We've never done that stuff before. I know some teams have done it, but what a great way to give back to the people of the league in that by doing stuff for their kids, doing stuff with their kids. Like we got to start getting back to that family oriented stuff, and we just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
We've got Coach Evans won the Keystone Bowl with the Back Mountain Mayhem, probably one of the most dominant teams in this league that no one ever knows about. And he's going to be our marshal. He's going to go around and with every roster, if you have, like I said before, if you have 37 guys on your roster and 5 staff, all right, then there should be no more than 42 people on your sideline. Anybody else got to go. We have our first time we actually have GEFA set officials for this Classic. We have it where Menser, Bo Rogers, Mark Lance, Chris Bilger, Ray Klinger. Ray Klinger said he was done at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
And we were able to get him back because he believes in what we're trying to do here.
Shout out to Mark
They have
too,
their
by the
own
way.
GEFA
Today's his
official
birthday.
shirts.
Happy
What's
birthday,
that?
Mark. I said shout out to Mark too. Today's his birthday.
Nah, he doesn't deserve that. Don't shout
Stop it.
him out. But like those 5 refs will be the same refs at the Kickoff Classic, Keystone Bowl, and the All-Star game. This is going to be the first year we actually have an All-Star game on a neutral field. We've never had that. So this year I'm hoping for a lot of firsts that are going to last the long haul.
So everything you're saying, it sounds like we're poised to have a pretty special season. What's stopping us?
Us.
How hard of a pill is that to swallow?
like like I said to the refs, we're at a point where we can't help ourselves because we just we have that sense of entitlement that like we could do no wrong, and if somebody tries to hold us accountable in that, we blame them instead of looking in the mirror and be like, you know what, that was me. I was in the wrong.
Right.
Like we got us. This league's come a long way, and if we don't start fixing ourselves now and looking inward, we're not going to last much longer. The writing's already on the wall. We got to start erasing the writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say this stuff until I'm blue in the face. I probably have said it until I was blue in the face. But at the end of the day, we have to focus on us. We have to take a collective look in the mirror and say, we need to change. And the only way we're going to be able to do this is if we're all in together.
Right.
If people don't want to be a part of it and fall in line and make this league what the potential it has to be, well, then they could go somewhere else. And if they can't do it on their own, we'll help them.
Yeah.
But we have to start getting rid of the bad apples in this league. We got to start bringing the culture back. We got to get rid of the toxicity within this league. All the fighting's got to stop. Like, we even redid the podcast to make it more positive. Like, it's got to get to the point now where we're celebrating the league.
So speaking of that, I had a request from one of my guys. Whatever happened to the power rankings? Preseason power rankings. When are they coming back?
We're on the website.
Oh yeah? For people watching that don't know, what's our website?
I mean, if you don't know what the website is by now, then
I know what the website is, but listen,
GEFA360.com.
GEFA360.com, power rankings are there. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, I mean, anybody that may see this too, we're open for suggestions. You know,
It's
I know in
under news, and then you go on the power rankings.
so why don't you read that quick? We'll get clickbait views on this.
Your thirst knows no bounds.
Wow. Wow.
So we always do 3 power rankings. One is the Players Association, but we're only doing it in the top 5. I'm not going to keep tallying up all points and stuff for all the teams when there's only 5 teams that are really doing much. I might extend it to 6, considering it's 6 playoff teams. But no, this was done months ago, before all the big signings and all that stuff. But the Players Association
But
top
months
5.
ago, the Cyclones were still retired.
You're right. So you can take these rankings with a grain of salt. That's why they're preseason. I mean, granted, some teams are going to get butthurt because it's preseason and they're not picked to win it all when
But
they
they
end up on.
probably don't say anything and try to help us.
Yeah.
Tell them to deal with it.
Yep. So here's the Players Association top 5. Number 1, Moshannon Valley Vikings. 2, Dauphin County Comanche. 3, Wilkes-Barre Warriors. 4, Williamsport Wildcats. 5, Hazleton Mustangs.
Damn. So my comment to that is no love for reigning coach of the year.
Well, with Buffaloes.
That's upsetting, actually. Eh,
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
all right.
Continue.
Coaches poll.
Oh, Jesus.
Uh, Maybe some logic here, maybe not.
It's all a strategy, is what you're telling me, huh?
Yep, it's strategery. So, coaches poll number one, Williamsport Wildcats. Number two, Moshannon Valley Vikings. Three, Bedford County Buffaloes. Four, Wilkes-Barre Warriors. Five, Dauphin County Comanche.
Cool.
Now, the GEFA preseason rankings, mind you, mean absolutely nothing. If when I coached, I hated being anywhere near the top. I
I
always
don't
wanted
even want my
to
team mentioned.
be. I remember the one year was it 2019. Contento ranked us number one, and it was disaster for us. Contento knew what he was doing, but uh, it was the Contento curse. But the GFA preseason rankings: number one, Williamsport Wildcats; two, Moshannon Valley Vikings; three, Dauphin County Comanche; four, Wilkes-Barre Warriors; five, Bedford County Buffaloes; six, Hazleton Mustangs; seven, Berks County Raptors; eight, Cole County Nightmare; nine, Somerset County Miners; 10, Monroeville Titans; 11, Indiana County Crusaders.
Ooh. Hmm.
I mean, look at the year the Buffaloes came in. They finished the season 7-3, and they were ranked last in the preseason rankings.
Yeah. So, actually, makes me think of another question. So we're not counting Brandon and Justin, right? But you have the two new teams,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Titans and Crusaders.
Right. So I know, like I said earlier, I think we're gonna have a strong season and we're gonna have a lot of teams potentially reach out to us. Do you have any words of wisdom for anyone that thinks they can own their own team?
Uh, put yourself in a position to want to grow. Get involved with your community. Build your stock up.
No, I wish you would tell existing teams this. What the hell?
I told you guys you have no value to this league.
I'm just playing.
I've told you guys several times on several different occasions, you guys bring no value to this league. And you guys got to build that up to bring in that value.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Billy, what value are you bringing to this league this year?
Um, well, I don't plan on getting fined this year, so it's
Oh,
definitely
wow.
not fine money.
It's way too
Um,
early for that.
no, I just, passion, um, for my team, for the game, my team, the league. I want to see it. I want to see this league at its absolute best. So I'm going to do everything that I can. So much so, the president and vice president have cursed me out numerous times in regards to this league because I just don't let things go. Right? You know this. So,
Maybe worse than me when it comes to
mm,
not letting things go.
listen, it depends. If I'm having a bad day, we just had one, and I'm in the mood. Something's gonna set it off. Sorry, not sorry. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there's times where like I lose my shit over things, and then like I'll let it go, and then something will be said, and it'll spark it right back up, and then I'll come with a different angle, and it's like,
Right, but the worst thing about me not having a filter and saying whatever the the hell I want to say is you go through the avenues and you try saying it this way, that way, and this way. And then you're finally calm down, back to earth, good to go. And I'm like, well, James, what about the and you fucking blow a gasket.
Because you have the worst timing ever. Like
Right. But then
I
I
go
get
through
yelled
the
at
whole
for it.
I go through the whole thought process and I talk myself out of it and I get myself calmed down and then like it'll just pop in my head a different angle of it. I'm like, oh, so this is what he really meant. And then I'll go off all again and then I'll finally get myself calmed down and then you'll be with your impeccable timing. James, what about this? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like it's
Right. Listen, if we're all gonna get yelled at individually, I'll ask a question so we get it done and over with in one shot. It's a it's being a team player.
Yeah, but there's times where it's right. Travis Groves always says it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like there's times where you just need to let it go. And it's like it'll go 3 days where it's finally calmed down, and then you'll bring it right back up again, and it'll freaking spark it all over again.
I was
And it's
hibernating for 72 hours. Leave me be.
like
No, I listen, I get it. I could comfortably sit here and say that I have put more time, effort, energy into improving the league. And I can say that more so than 95% of the owners.
but the thing is this though. Like you go through everything and it's we redid the committees this year. We had more people in the committees than ever before. Ever before. We had how many people in each committee? And for most committees, it was the same result as the year before. Like, how do you have more people in these committees, more things built up for it, and still have the same result? Like, that's
Because
the definition of insanity right there.
it is, but they've spent too many time watching Vikings games. So they're on that third quarter MOBA time.
Apparently. But like it just and then or we'll do stuff and we'll say we'll do stuff, I should say. And then a couple weeks later, I'll get a text message. James, what's going on with this? Did you talk to these people? No, it wasn't my problem to do that. This is why I have a board. This is why we have owners. This is why we have a chain of command. Like, I should be the last person on anybody's call list for anything involving the league. Like, it should be already handled. It should go from if a player has a concern, it should go to their owner. Their owner should go to that committee that if it involves a committee.
Well, to slow down a minute there, because technically a player should know who their player association members
Right?
are,
That too.
right? And you go player to maybe captain to player association to coaches to conference directors all the way up. And you know, all
No,
I know,
we don't do that. We just
I do have some breaking news for you though.
what?
Justin McNulty just told me he will give you a hug if you feel you need one. Um, Justin, read his hat, take the S out, and that's his message to you.
But the thing is though, like we have all this stuff in place, and yet I still get messages at like 3 in the morning asking me questions. And I'm like, well, what do you want from me? Like there's probably close to 600 people in this league. There's a lot of them that have been here longer than me that you could ask if you run into a question or whatever. There's owners, there's coaches, there's board members, and yet you feel that entitlement to bypass all that stuff and wake me up in the middle of the night for it.
Well, right, and I've seen it firsthand. People going to you over nonsensical shit. It's actually mind boggling. But the people want to know: would you rather be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning?
I'd rather not be woken up at all.
Well, that's just no fun.
I would rather hear it from my vice president because all avenues have been exhausted. That's where we should be at. We should exhaust all avenues before we come and start waking me up or annoying me over something that I'm just going to say, well, what'd you do about it? How
Yeah,
many times have I said in an owner's thing when a problem was, what did you do about it first? What accountability did you take in
yeah.
this? What did you do to fix it first? Who did you talk to? And 9 out of 10 times, they'll be like, well, I'm just telling you now. So you didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Had you gone to somebody else or even asked somebody or another owner or whatever, chances are they probably would know the answer to it.
People don't know how to swallow their pride, though, James, and that's unfortunately until we. That's another thing. Until we learn how to do that, we're not going to be set up for ultimate success. My opinion.
I gotta update the Warriors logo on the website.
Yeah. So, so nobody gets butthurt or in their feelings about it. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but now, James, I'm going to put you on the spot. You ready?
Sure.
What owner are you looking to see what they do, improve, go backwards, whatever it may be? Coaching staff, players, and teams. Do you
Um,
feel like there's an owner there that hasn't reached their ceiling yet, and you think this is their year? Who is it in that order?
I mean, I think the biggest question mark with the owners I have right now, and it's not because he didn't do this or he did do this, is only because he's new to it and he's still fresh to the game, would be Aaron Stoner of the Wildcats. I mean, he's got a lot on his plate when it comes to this year. Uh, all you've ever heard over the past couple of years is, oh, the Wildcats did this. The Wildcat did this. When are we going to get rid of the Wildcats? We've lost teams because we didn't get rid of the Wildcats. So that's one of the things I'm interested to see what
Yeah.
goes on with the Wildcats with him as.
I don't think you're the only one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you're the only one.
No, I'm definitely not. But it's, I mean, I've given Aaron a ton of advice, and it's not that I don't want to see Aaron succeed. I do. And I see the way he's building the team this year. And I'm just worried that if things don't go right, how many of those players he's going to lose.
I
And
mean, outside of Williamsport, I think that's at least crossed the mind of
but
everybody involved.
right, but the thing, I don't know if you ever went by Williamsport or anything like that, but there is so much talent in the Williamsport area.
Yeah.
If Williamsport actually harnessed all that talent together, like what we think the Pittsburgh team could be, that could be Williamsport. There should be no reason why they don't get enough players in the Williamsport area to really bring this league to its knees. And
Right.
that's the God's honest truth. I'm not trying to downplay what the Wildcats are. I mean, when JR first came out, he was like a house on fire. Like that's the talent pool right there in a nutshell.
Yeah.
When it comes to the way Williamsport could be, that's the potential they could be. But the thing is, a lot of these teams aren't involved in their community. They don't know outside of the circle of the league what the GEFA is.
Right.
We don't get new teams in this league because nobody knows what the GEFA is. Instead, we get what some player that gets butt hurt and starts his own team. That's the teams we're getting in this league. We very rarely get new blood teams in this.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's another one of those problems because eventually the well's going to run dry and we're not going to have enough teams to sustain life as we know it in this league. We
Well,
have to get it to the point where we're getting new blood in. That's why, like, when I was talking to Coach Roth from Southern Columbia, he was asking me questions about starting a team in the GFA, what he could do to start a team, and he was going to bring it up to his alumni association.
right.
That area, we don't have many teams in that area anymore because the Spartans left, Tomahawks left, like that.
Mhm.
That whole middle of the state is wide open now. We don't have the Hitmen. It's like we have a divide in the middle of the state
We'll
now
go put it
between
on charge.
Valley
I'll
and
come back now.
Mountain
I need to watch TV.
that we never had before.
Right. So yeah. Yeah. I mean that you get in the conversations that have already been had that you could continue on and debate for them all night. Um, I think we'll get there. I really do. But what do you got coaching staff wise? What coaching staff are you looking forward to seeing?
Mustangs, I want to see what they can do. You guys moved a lot of pieces around. And you had Ben Simon as your defensive coordinator. You didn't have Ben Simon. You had Eli as your offense coordinator. You didn't have Eli.
Yep.
You got Dave Derange as your OC now, which I think that's a great hire for that. Dave is very smart when it comes to X's and O's and that. And he could read people.
Right.
He may be cocky at times and all that stuff as a player in that, but he knows his stuff. He's been around.
Yeah.
Um Lopes, I want to see what he does as your assistant head coach. I want to see where he fits in.
Yeah.
I know he's been with the Mustangs before as a coach. The Comanche. I want to see what their coaching staff does. I mean, this is probably
Yeah,
shit or get off the pot moment this year. You have all these coaches, and if they don't succeed this year, where do they go from there?
yeah,
Like for me, I never had a big coaching staff. The 1 year I had a coaching staff, I didn't know what to do with it.
that's because people don't like Vinny. I'm just gonna tell you how it is.
Well, it's funny that like I don't remember what game it was. I think it was the Diamondback game. And Vinny asked one of the officials a question. And the ref said something. He goes, "Are you kidding me? This is bonkers." And the ref goes, "Get out of my face." Like, he wouldn't let Vinny go by the sideline at all the rest of the game. He didn't eject him, but he wouldn't let him near the sideline. All because
Nice,
Vinny said this was bonkers.
nice. Vinny has you know, quite the ability to annoy the piss out of people.
That's
Um,
that's Vinny's way.
you know, what about players? You got maybe 3 to 5 out of almost 500, 600 that you really, you know, for whatever reason, maybe you think they're calling it a career. Maybe they've been on one team for 4 years and they went to a new team, and 3 to 5 players that you're really looking forward to see what they do this season.
Um, JR. He's on top of my list. Um, I've had conversations with JR, and in all reality, this is probably the most focused I've ever seen JR. Um, he's saying this may be his last year. He we'll see how it goes, but there right there is a man obsessed with righting his wrongs and being better.
Yeah,
I'm interested in seeing Brandon Ellis back in the league after a couple years being out of it, seeing how he does with that Williamsport offense. That's an interesting thing about it.
yeah,
I even over with you guys, LC with the Wildcats. All it's seeing players like that have been long time Cyclones. It's weird seeing them in other uniforms.
yeah,
Thor was talking to me today about Greg Medina and showing me his Vikings jersey, and it just looked weird. It was like Johnny Unitas going to the Chargers. It just didn't seem right. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta respect that.
I
Is
mean,
there any
LC's
younger
wearing
guys?
84 this year. What's that?
Uh, Go ahead. What were you saying? LC's 84.
LC's wearing 84.
Yeah,
We're matching his age. His old head.
all love LC, all love. But is there any young guys?
I mean, LC's 84 in GEFA years. But young guys, mm, I don't really know any young guys yet. I haven't got to that point yet. I got to look at some of the rosters in that.
Yeah. And then what about teams in general? Just you want to see them shit or get off the pot. You want to see them take that next step. You want to see them go away. What team is
Uh,
it?
I don't I don't want to see any team go away. Um,
I'm giving examples.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see what the Crusaders do. I mean, I've had a couple conversations with him, and he seems he wants to be go in the right direction. He asked for advice, so that's always a good thing. The minors, I want to see what they do this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Jace is a good dude, man. I really
yeah.
like Jace.
I mean, he was sending me pictures of his baby goat that was just born not too long ago. He was sending me videos of that. But the guy's had some demons, and he's finally getting himself on the right path and trying to right a lot of wrongs that he's done in his past. And
Right.
you can't blame a guy for that. Nightmare, I'm kind of interested to see what they do. I mean, every year you always know that McNulty's going to do these. Oh, we signed this person, we signed this person, and then by the time you get to like game week or whatever, like half of them aren't there. So it's
I'm gonna say the same thing that I did on their behalf when they presented. I think whether it was the change of scenery for a short time, um, being around other football guys, the time away, the shit that they're dealing with in life, I don't expect that this year. I don't. I think I think they're gonna be very comfortable in saying, "You're not a fit here. Shake hands, move forward," and that's that.
I mean,
Um,
Brandon and Justin, this is probably like with JR and that, this is probably the most focused I've ever seen them as owners. And I never wanted to see the Nightmare take a step back from the league. Especially with the McNultys. Justin's been around since God knows when. And like to
LC
lose
second season,
yeah. And then to lose owners like that, like when I first got in the league, all I kept hearing was about the bad boys of Schuylkill County. The Predators were this, that, and everything else. And then you look at the Nightmare, and the McNultys have found a way to completely reinvent themselves.
right?
Everything that everybody said they were, they proved that they weren't.
Yeah,
And like I said, they completely reinvented themselves. So kudos to them. Um, Mustangs, I'm interested to see what you guys do now that you guys are actually winning games. So that should be interesting.
we won a game our first season. The fuck?
That was a forfeit. That doesn't
A
count.
win is a win. What? Stop.
That's like a participation trophy. That's but like I mean, you got the talent on the team. I mean, you still got some positions where there's question marks on. Uh, but can you turn it around to build up on that success that you had last year? I mean, 5-5, considering you're 0-30 beforehand. That's
1-23.
that's great though. Like
Yeah, we're gonna give it everything we got.
oh. I'm also interested in what the Buffaloes are gonna do. Like that. I know they're gonna be a
Yo,
successful team.
I'm glad you brought up the Buffaloes. I wanna motion right here on live. that we do a Troll of the Year award in the GEFA, and hands down it goes to the Buffaloes. Their shit is comical. Absolutely comical. I couldn't even defend TJ today. They
I,
roasted him. They
I've
roasted
never
him.
saw TJ like stuttering. Like it's
I honestly, and I've said it since they've come in, and we actually had their first game in this league was against us, and they beat the brakes off of us. And just talking to Levi prior to that game, immediately thereafter, love the way they run their program. Hands down, nothing against Thor. He owns his own, field and all this stuff, stadium. But the way the Buffaloes are doing their thing, it's any new team
Buffalo's
looking for help, follow the Buffaloes blueprint.
the Buffaloes
They're doing it the
reminded me
right
a
way.
lot of Du Bois with Justin Marshall and all that stuff. You weren't here for them, but they were a class act. But like Justin Marshall, he was like I love Justin, but he was always like so humble about it. It actually made you sick. Like it was just like it was like he was so humble. It almost seemed like it was like backhanded. And it's like, dude, really? Like it's can he talk a little bit of shit? Like it's at least something. Like,
Right.
but like Aaron Nicholas, Paul Bullers, like I can't even tell you how many games we went against them. And at the end of the game, they're pulling you aside to have a beer with them and stuff, and just having fun. And I feel like we lost that brotherhood along the way. I don't know how or when, but I feel like we lost it. We don't do stuff with each other, with like mix ups and all that stuff. We don't do that a lot anymore. We're just all right. Game's over. Let's go home. Like
Yeah.
it's like the Maniacs used to have cookouts and that.
Yeah.
I swear, like every team that did stuff like that is no longer in the league. And that's why I said to you guys, I think it was back in like October, find a restaurant that will sponsor the team and have a
Yeah.
meeting with the other team at the end of the game at the restaurant. I mean, have fun. Mix it
Yeah.
up with everybody. Start talking to people. It's there's no rivalries in this league anymore. Like there's no friendly rivalries. Like the I always wanted to have a rivalry with my friends.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a rivalry with Brent because he's like a brother to me. I mean, granted, it was never a rivalry because I never won. Preseason games don't count. But that's what you want to do when like with you and McNulty. You know damn well you're going to bring your all because you don't want to lose to McNulty. Like anytime you go against your brother or a person you feel like is a brother to you, you never want to lose to him. You always want to beat him. So the stakes are always going to be higher when you play a team like that. Whether your records reflect it or not, it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I there's some there. I think the league is, and I don't mean the board of officials or anything, but people around the league are pushing for rivalries to be a thing. Um, According to everybody else, you know, I should hate the McNultys. The McNultys should hate me. I should hate the Warriors, and they should hate me. And same thing with the Comanche. Like I don't listen. I get along with anybody. I, I'm not here for any of the extra bullshit. I'm here to play football, and that. That's it. You know, but I think the rivalries will begin to build up. Um, for the time being, I think that's all subject to change. Um, more teams come in, limit the number of players on a team. A couple years away yet, but I think that's subject to change. I think rivalries will do a good job at really developing. Um, but yeah,
I mean, here's an example. When we were going through the whole MIFL versus GEFA wars and all that stuff, and we hated them and they hated us, and some people took it too far. I never had a problem with Rio. He was the one that ran the MIFL. I never had a problem with him. In fact, when I did my wrestling shows in that, Rio was one of the ones that did the podcast at the shows for my wrestling promotion. And like I talked to Rio a lot about stuff. And even when I wrote those articles from the MIFL GFA Wars on the website, like the first person I called was Rio about it. And all
yeah,
those interviews on there, they're from Rio. It was from John Theoline. It was from Frank Cicino. It was all those people actually gave me quotes on that because I still talk to them.
right,
But like Rio and I have talked about different things with wrestling and uh how I originally wanted to see the MIFL versus GFA wars end, and he's actually helped me get uh talk to teams about joining the GFA. They used to be in the MIFL.
yeah,
So just but we were supposed to hate each other.
yeah,
I mean the same thing with like the Warriors shock rivalry. That was supposed to be this big heated thing and all that stuff. And behind the scenes, I was designing the Warriors uniforms for them.
yeah.
Like
Nice.
all these like big heated rivalries and that, a lot of times they're smoke and mirrors because people like the idea of a rivalry. I mean, I've been a part of some heavy rivalries um in high school, college. I've been a part of some rivalries.
Yeah,
Anything we do in the GFA, it's all you could do is try to get that feel of a rivalry. And I hope teams get that back. But you're not going to get that rivalry and stuff back if you're not spending time with those players and that and hanging out in that. If we don't do any of the mixing up anymore. It's a rivalry to me now is going against your friends. And it's because you're always
yeah.
going to be competitive going against your friends.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I got one more question that I gotta ask before we get off here. What award race do you think is going to be the tightest race this year?
I always like the rookie of the year awards because it's always those people that you never really heard about.
Ju-
Like,
Justin just told me he's rostering 45 rookies, so he's going to win that award.
yeah, we'll see. Uh like we scrimmaged the Vikings, I think in 2017, maybe 2018. And we pretty much dog walked them. And they had this one good play where their returner hurdled one of my guys, and they made it this greatest thing ever. This rookie hurdled this guy, and it ended up turning to be Malik Brion. And at the time, nobody knew who the hell he was. But at the end of the year, everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a conversation now and say, well, who's that when it comes to Malik?
Yeah.
Like the same thing with Greg Williams. When his Hitman year, his first Hitman year, that was probably uh the best debut season of a player in GEFA history. Like, he was like the GEFA's Randy Moss his rookie year.
Yeah.
I think he set the most yards in a game uh for receiving against the Warriors that year. Like, you didn't see that in receivers, especially a rookie. Again, he was one of those that you didn't know his name in the beginning of the year, but everybody knew it at the end. Like, those are the awards that I get excited about. Coach of the year, I'm interested to see what goes on with that. Special teams is always wide open because half the time nobody knows who the hell is on special teams. Um, Big Ugly is going to be wide open this year. No Contento, no Ireland, unless they sign with the Vikings. Who knows? Give it time. Um,
Love it.
um, but that should be wide open for the first time in probably 9 years.
I'm looking forward to defensive player of the year.
That's always a tough one too because it's
We don't let the cat out of the bag or anything, but we have a feeling that gonna be a couple Mustangs being mentioned in that. So in that conversation, at least, you know.
yeah. I mean, we renamed one of the awards this year for DB of the year. We named it after DJ since he had the record for the most interceptions in a season, and the award is for the most interceptions. I thought it was fitting to have DJ be awarded with that award as the namesake.
What was
Uh,
that number? Because I know I'm gonna have guys ask.
14. It's on the website.
14.
Um, I wasn't counting playoffs. I don't know if he had anything during the playoffs. I know. I think Matty Tallarico had like 18 in one season with playoffs though. Running backs, I'm kind of interested to see what goes on with that. Uh, does the Comanche still do the running back by committee?
Yeah, I don't
Or
know.
one of my favorite running backs in this league is with the Wildcats now and Dobson. Um, I I've always liked him, even when he was with the Flash. I thought he was a good running back.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bailey. That's never gonna happen. But Dotson's a great running back, so it's interesting to see if he gets revitalized after being with the Tomahawks last year and the Vikings the year before. Um, I'm interested to see which Buffalo's running back ends up appearing because every year now it's a new Buffalo's running back that gets to the top of the rushing charts. Um,
Yeah, you're not allowed to talk to Scott like that, by the way. You're not allowed to talk to our viewers like that, actually. They'll report you. No monetization.
I don't even think this is being monetized. I gotta put that on there.
Scott, don't worry. I got you. Um, yeah, I think all the races are going to be interesting. Um, I like the assistant head coach or the assistant coach one. I always like to see that. We had Brandon last year, um, being named for that.
See,
He does not get a pass. Don't ever tell him that.
the, my biggest thing was I never felt like assistant coaches got enough shine. And um one of the biggest assistant coaches that I felt should have been a head coach somewhere in this league by now. Never really got the recognition that I felt he deserves. Yeah, everybody said it in that, but he never really got anything that said, you know what, this is this is the best assistant coach in the league. And that was Q Farrell when he was the DC of the Cyclones. Set every defensive record going at the time and never really got that recognition. So I wanted to um bring an award in for assistant coach of the year to try to get those coaches what they deserved. And that's because they need to get recognition too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I thought you were gonna say Vinny. I was about to yell.
No,
Just you know what? Vinny probably still can't take a joke. I'm gonna stop picking on him for now.
he'll be asking me later when you guys are going to Bloomsburg.
Yeah, tell him for the kickoff classic. I'll be headed that way.
But I wanted it's one of the things like I always wanted to do with this league, and it was even with like the awards was embrace our history. And a lot of people a lot of people still don't really know our history. I know either tomorrow or the day after I'm getting with Billy Splain and doing an interview for PA Football News, going over the history of the league, what the league's about,
You should let me
spot,
sit in on that one. I wouldn't mind telling him.
spotlighting some players in the league. Um, but that's some of the stuff like we need to get out there.
Yeah.
We need to get the GEFA out there, not just with people amongst us in the GEFA, but the whole state, maybe a couple other states. I know in the expansion portal right now, there's two teams from New Jersey. There's a team from Delaware. I'm hoping to be able to get more of those type of teams involved. Uh, I talked to a team down from Baltimore. They're interested about uh, potentially joining the GFA. I talked to a team who played in the MIFL and from the Philly area. They're talking about joining the GFA next year. So it's trying to expand in areas that don't really have GFA exposure. But we have all these platforms and we really don't do much to build our brand. Everything about us is a brand. And if we're not building that brand, what are we doing?
Yeah, yeah, I think that goes, hand in hand with what we were discussing before. Um, it's not going to happen overnight, but I really do believe that we're taking those steps. Um, we got a lot of stuff to work out, I think, and kind of fine tune. Um, but we're at least facing the right direction. Maybe not moving forward yet, but we're at least facing the right direction, so
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we're pointing in the right direction. We got to start moving in the right direction. And I think that'll be a good sign at how the classic goes. Once we get the classic where I feel it needs to be in terms of production, entertainment, quality of product on the field, um, I'm hoping that Rob Marrero Memorial Classic is our coming out party, pretty much, and saying this is who we are, and you'll be a damn idiot if you don't check us out because you will be missing out. That is what this classic means to me right now.
right.
Everything we're putting into this, uh, being with the Special Olympics, doing the Easter egg hunt, doing the face painting, doing all the raffle baskets and all that stuff, getting the 3 food trucks for variety and all that stuff, getting the DJ. Like that's
Aren't we doing something with a Fred Warner jersey?
yep, we're raffling that off too. Autographed Fred Warner jersey that you said you were going to buy tickets for and you haven't yet.
Gotta wait the day of. I gotta see what my odds are. I might
uh,
want to go, there's not quite, I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely getting tickets. It's Fred Warner. I'm a Niner fan. We're gonna do all right.
I mean,
You
Brandon
know what?
McNulty.
And I know it's a ways away, but just the conversations we've had, the plans we have, I really like what you're doing for um the Keystone Championship, Keystone Bowl.
Earl.
Um, did you tell people on that one yet or no?
Mm, no, I just wanted to give Brandon McNulty a shout out first, though. He's got close to probably about 20 raffle baskets that he collected so far. And it's a variety of places he's
Yo,
found.
Justin, facts.
Yeah, you guys aren't allowed near the food trucks. Uh, he's gone above and beyond to help out with these raffle baskets and that. Those raffle baskets will be a success because of him.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, what was your question about the Keystone Bowl?
Well, before I get into my question, I just want to comment on Justin's last comment. Just get in the habit of saying James is paying my bill. But my question for the Keystone Bowl, did you tell people kind of, what you're what you're thinking about doing for that and some of the
No,
things that you're trying to do again as the president, you'd like to see it be successful, but you're going above and beyond. You're not doing things that are required in bylaws or anything like that, but I think it's awesome. So I don't know if you wanted, to come out and actually tell people where your thoughts are, if you want to hold off a little bit. I think it's awesome, but
I mean, The Keystone Bowl, I mean, we've made it pretty big. We just gotta expand on it. Um, kind of like your waistline at the classic with the food trucks. We just gotta expand on it. Um,
Thanks.
uh, we're doing the kind of like the kick of destiny, the greatest average kick ever, where I will be subjecting myself to kicking a 25-yard field goal in front of everyone at halftime. Um, the jersey I will be wearing will be a custom 20th anniversary GEFA jersey. It'll have the Special Olympics patch on it. Um, with that, both teams at the Keystone Bowl will sign it and we'll auction it off, and the proceeds will be donated to a charity. Um, we will have halftime entertainment there. Uh, we will have two anthems being sung before the game. Same thing as we'll be doing before the Wildcats Warriors. Um,
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I think it's awesome. But now that people want to know how when are you going to begin practicing for the kick of destiny?
I have been.
Well,
I've
I
got
know this, but the
I
people
got
want to
the
know.
kicking coach from Wyoming area helping me out with it. I'll send him videos and then he'll make fun of me and then he'll critique me. I mean,
Scott, we're not bringing in our own goalpost.
the the legs of a 41-year-old definitely aren't the same as when I was younger. It's a lot more stretching needs to be done now.
Yeah, naturally.
Um, Also with it being an Andre Reed Stadium, we reached out to Andre Reed trying to get some kind of word out there to him to see if we could get him to come down to the Keystone Bowl and be our honorary marshal that day. If we do that, we'll be doing a Andre Reed Bills jersey raffle. To try to see if we could get something like that out there. Um, like I said, I haven't figured out what the halftime entertainment is for that, but I always want to try to do something different and push the envelope on everything we do. Um, I always like to say that we're different than everybody else, and I want to be able to say that we're doing things that no other league is doing. Um, with the Classic, there's not an 8-man league in the country that's does what we do at the Classic. Um, when it comes to the Keystone Bowl, nobody puts on a spectacle like the GEFA when it comes to that.
Yeah,
And even
no.
with the All-Star game this year, that's going to be something you've never seen in the entire country when it comes to semi-pro football.
Oh, Scott. We next. Oh shit. Um, let's see. Well, we'll have time another episode. Get into the All Star. Because I believe that's going to be our next our next focus is going to be Keystone Bowl. And
Well, the next focus is going to be week 2.
Mental Health Awareness Week.
Mm-hmm. That's I put the key dates on the inside the GEFA page.
April
That stuff
6th.
I want to start getting the community involved with. Teams donating to their local charities that involve mental illness or mental health. And just getting the GEFA out there. I mean, we got to get into our communities. And a lot of people don't do anything with the GEFA because they don't know who we are. And they're not going to sponsor with something that they don't know anything about. So if we get out in the community, get the name out there and get some eyes on us, maybe people will start donating. Maybe they will start sponsoring teams. It can only help.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely can't hurt.
Maybe we'll go live tomorrow and go over the all-star game stuff. Even though it's just supposed to be a mic test.
Yeah,
2 hours later.
that's what I was about to
So,
say. 2.5 hours later.
all right, let's get out of here.
All right, fellas. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys later.